My name is Jana Tim, and I'm the general manager of Southfork Ranch. I think Dallas has the power, the show Dallas has the power that it does in making people want to come here and see it, is because the whole show was just exciting. It was fun. It was an imaginary life. You know, the impact that Southfork Ranch has had economically in the film, because of the filming and the film business, in the cities that surround us, it's pretty huge, because the people who come here, they stay in hotel rooms in the outlying towns of Plano, Allen, and people leave here, they go shopping, they dine in our restaurants nearby, and downtown Dallas, of course, people venture there to see the rest of where Dallas was shot too, if they're big fans. We've had so many different reality shows, from most recently Real Housewives of Dallas, and back in the day, several years ago, Top Chef, Cake Hunters reality show was shot here. So there was a lot going on, and we learned quickly how to work around with our tourists, to work around where we were not interfering in their filming. What that did for Southfork and our staff is made us very film friendly. You know, the thing that makes Southfork unique for me, in my eyes, is that the show Dallas with Larry, JR, and the rest of them, they were so much a family here back in the day when they filmed here. And even when they did the reboot, it was very evident how close they all were and cared about each other. I can parallel that to what we have here as a staff. We are all a family here.
Good morning, welcome to Southfork Ranch. My name's Vicki, and I'm going to be your guide over through the house today. I have a lot of information to give you about the ranch today, so let's get started. Get comfy right there in your chairs. Now, this ranch actually was built in 1970, and it was built by a gentleman by the name of J.R. Duncan. Now, he just happened to have the same initials as J.R. Ewing on that show. Now, Mr. Duncan used to have one of the largest quarter horse ranches in the state of Texas at one time out here, and it was originally called Duncan Acres. So Lamar Productions ends up getting in a helicopter. They start flying all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. As they fly over the area and this particular ranch, the reason they ended up picking our ranch, as they flew over the property, they just didn't think a bad picture could be taken from any vantage point on the outside of the ranch. Well, needless to say, they continue on and have a long conversation with Mr. Duncan. By the time they got to the end of that conversation, I can tell you right now, Mr. Duncan, they had convinced him to allow them to film out here on the ranch. So every single shot you ever saw in the show that had anything to do with an outside shot, whether it was summer or winter scenes, they did right here on the ranch. Now, Lamar Productions ends up going back to Culver City, California. That's really where they built a 40,000 square foot stage set. Now that's where they did all the interior shots on the show. Mr. Duncan and Mr. and Mrs. Duncan lived on the ranch. Things went pretty well for them. But you know, all of a sudden when people found out all those movie stars were out here, I'm going to tell you what, this ranch was inundated from people from all over the world. They came out here by the thousands, I can tell you. You could look out at any of these windows in the front part of the house, and all those open fields, there would be thousands of people. So finally, by 1984, they had to reevaluate their situation. They decided it was time for them to sell this ranch. Our parent company is called Forever Living Products. Our current owner, he's a gentleman by the name of Rex Mon. He's a businessman out of Scottsdale, Arizona. So he gives a decorator $500,000 to decorate the inside of the house as if what she thought it might look like had the Ewings had lived there in the house. Now, as you were walking up today, you're going to notice our Olympic-sized swimming pool. Now, I see some smiles on some faces out there. Yes, it's not an Olympic-sized swimming pool. They did many things out here when they were filming to fool your eye, make you think you're seeing something you're not. That swimming pool was one of them. They would actually put Patrick Duffy down in the deep end of the swimming pool. they would put him in a clear Hornets and he would take off swimming like crazy. Well, guess what? He wasn't going one place. They put these huge mirrors down the side of the swimming pool on both sides, and then they use that wide angle lens on every single thing, those shots, to make it appear as it was that Olympic-sized swimming pool. As we go in the house today, we're going to have that glass table. You're going to notice there's lots of scratches on it. It's 41 years old. That is the original table where they sat for every single breakfast shot on that show. Many lunches were served there, and you remember they always had 1,000 fights at that table. Of course, then we're going to turn around and you're going to see Miss Ellie's kitchen. Now, I'm telling you what, Barbara Belgetti happened to like the design of our kitchen so well, she requested that that be reproduced on the stage set in California. Now, of course, they always made it 3 times larger for cameras and extra people when they were filming in there. Now, you'll notice ours has red wallpaper on the ceilings. It has an island in the middle, a Sub-Zero refrigerator in there. Now, you know, those are the kind of amenities that you would not have had in a house in the 1970s unless you had a little money in your pocket. Now, we're going to step down into our largest room in the house. That's Jock's living room. Now, that portrait over the fireplace, Jim Davis played that part from 1978 to 1981 when he actually died on the show. Now, Larry Hagman's father was actually absent in his life, so Jim Davis was his mentor in real life. Now, they only filmed in this house 3 times over all those years. They did 2 filmings for the reunion shows right here in this living room. Patrick Duffy and Larry Hagman would sit in those wing chairs up by the mantle there, and then, of course, all the cast members here on the sofas. We're going to talk about the patio or the balcony area here on the back side of the ranch. Now, if you remember in that storyline, Kristen was pushed over the side of the balcony here and she landed in the swimming pool. Now, you know, as we look out here, she would have never made it. It's just too darn far. So what they actually did is they would have someone go and they were going to push her over the railing. Now, as she went over the railing, she was caught below in a net. Then they would take her out of the net and then she would jump into the side of the swimming pool. We're going to go on the landing. We're going to stop in front of those doors in that window. We're going to be talking about that main driveway back over to the right where you see all those trees. That's the original driveway coming down to the ranch here. Again, they did lots of things to fool your eye. If you remember in the very first scene of the show, Jim Davis would always come blowing and going down this really, really long driveway. There'd be all this dirt flying in the air. Well, it never happened that way. They would actually start Jim Davis's car down at the driveway. They sprinkled white cooking flour all over the road, all the way up to the house here. Well, he would just blaze off and back up, blaze off and back up. I'm going to tell you right now, they just spliced all those parts together. They just made us think it was that long driveway with all that dirt flying in the air. So we always say, what you see is not always what you get. We want to thank you for tuning in today and watching us. We hope that you enjoyed it. And as we say here on the ranch, happy trails. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for coming, folks. Bye-bye.